Welcome back to Open Up with Don Clark and Bob Prater. In just a minute, you're going to hear about literally a rebellion going on in the ranks of California's judges. But first, we want to thank our sponsors who stand with us for these segments, in part by Dan Webb with Legal Shield. I mean, these are the people, you know, would you call a lawyer if you knew you didn't have to pay the $250 an hour for that? Well, these are the people that make that possible. Anything from the most trivial matter to the most traumatic matter, you can call an important law firm that will stand with you. And this is the way to reach them, LegalShieldAssociates.com/openup. So Dan Webb. And then here's Kern Construction and Electric, Inc. We're talking about Robert Miller, who's been in this community for years, done just about every kind of job you can imagine, and he does it right when he does it. It's 322-5554. And we're back. All right, Bob, take it away. We're going to introduce now Superior Court Judge David Lampe, who is kind of at the epicenter of what we're calling a rebellion among California judges. Bob, take it away.
So, Judge Lampe, Your Honor, tell us a little bit of your story. When did you come to Bakersfield? When did you get into law? And take us through until becoming a judge.
Well, I've grown up in Bakersfield. I've lived in Bakersfield my whole life. My mother and father brought me here when I was 6 months old. So I attended the local elementary schools. My mother was a teacher at the Panama Union School when it was one school. And I attended there in my early education. And then the city schools, East Bakersfield High School. As far as being a lawyer, that's something that I'd always wanted to do. I was a strange child. I wanted to be a lawyer since I was 4 years old. My mother was a history teacher, and my family was from Illinois, and I made the mistake of asking her who the man on the penny was. And as a history teacher and a resident of Illinois, I learned that very early. And I was fascinated with the fact that Abraham Lincoln was a lawyer, right, and learned a lot about his career before as a lawyer before he became president. And that's something I therefore always wanted to do. I considered it to be, as a child, an important job. And so I stayed. I went to Bakersfield College. I went to Cal State Bakersfield, graduated there, all with a mind of knowing that my legal education was likely going to be fairly costly, and I was trying to save money on my undergraduate education, got an excellent education at both those institutions, and then I went on to Santa Clara University and got my law degree with the intent of coming back to Bakersfield and practicing law, which I did, and became interested in being a judge.
You weathered all the lawyer jokes to persevere through your training and everything.
I did.
And it's said that a judge is a lawyer who once knew a governor. Was that true for you?
A little bit. Sure. It is a gubernatorial appointment, so I wouldn't describe it as exactly political. You don't, in the sense that you don't campaign for the job. But there are many deserving people, so something has to bring you to someone's attention. And I was offered a position in 1990 by Governor Deukmejian. But at that point in my career, I had children who had to go to school. I had the typical financial commitments that we all embrace at that time of their life. So I actually had to turn it down because the salary of a Superior Court judge was not that of a successful practicing lawyer. But I got a second chance in 2007, and you do have to put your name out there and let the governor know that you're interested. And that resulted in a second opportunity, and I was appointed in 2007.
So you're appointed to the bench, and now you're going about your duties, and suddenly, not suddenly, but you find yourself leading a rebellion. And what caused that? I mean, that's for a judge who's just come to the bench to begin to move in that direction is a dramatic movement.
Well, it has been described as a rebellion. It really is a disagreement among judges in the state over how we best finance our court system and how we prioritize and direct the dollars, the scarce public dollars, toward the judiciary. Candidly, in thinking about becoming a judge, I thought of what that would mean personally and but I never thought about the court system as a business. And I don't think many lawyers think of the court system in those terms. I never did. The court system is just an institution. It's always there. You have a case, people have, there's a crime, there's a civil dispute, the courthouse is always there. Nobody thinks about it. But when I was appointed, it dawned on me that the court system has employees. We need paper, we need pencils, we need computers, we need to operate the court system. And because of my background in civil law and complex commercial litigation, I thought that I should learn something about that. And I began to hear noises in 2007 about there being budget shortfalls anticipated. Of course, that was before 2008 hit. And so I spoke with our chief executive officer, and I said, tell me a little bit about how this court system works. How is it financed? And he started talking to me about the budget. And I said, no, I'm more simple-minded than that. Tell me, where is the money? What bank account is it in? How much money is in the bank account? And who signs the checks? That's what I wanted to know. And I learned, well, there really is no bank account. We don't know how much money is in the account, and we don't sign the checks here in Kern County. The whole thing is controlled by a centralized bureaucracy that was created in 1997, run out of San Francisco. And when I learned that, and I could look at the state controller's website and see that we were projected with serious budget shortfalls, I said, this is not the way to run the system. And so that's what got me.
Let me interrupt.
concerned.
Tell us more about the nature of that bureaucracy in San Francisco. You'd think if there was one, they'd be in Sacramento.
Well, they're in San Francisco because that's the headquarters historically of the California Supreme Court, and the Chief Justice is headquartered in San Francisco. And in 1997, the former Chief Justice Ron George began a political effort to centralize the court systems. There are 58 constitutionally created county superior courts in the state of California. There used to be municipal courts providing a broader array of services to the outlying communities, which was important here in Kern County. But through his efforts, the municipal and the superior courts were consolidated into the Superior Court, and then there was a Trial Court Funding Act that he sponsored and was adopted in 1997 that instead of dispersing the money to separately to the 58 superior courts, the money was centrally funded to the entity controlled by the Chief Justice, which is the Judicial Council, and then that entity dispersed the money to the trial courts.
What's wrong with that?
It's a question of...
I tell you what, we've just said we've got about a minute, so why don't we address that when we come back? What's wrong with that system? What have you done to change it? What's been the reaction of the bureaucracy? And where we go from here? We'll be right back.